What's going on, everybody? It's your favorite YouTuber, Austin Holloman. Still here in my perfect home of Nairobi, Kenya. I'm still nearly done furnishing all of the space in my new apartment. I just have one bedroom and I'll be doing the tour like I told you guys before. Now, most of you guys watching are in the United States of America. Some believe it's the greatest country in the world. It depends on what you're talking about. It's the greatest for. One thing I will tell you is it's not the greatest place to raise a kid. If you ask me, and I'm getting to a point where I do want to have kids, not right now, but it's getting closer and closer to that time. And I would have never, ever in my fucking life considered raising a child in the United States. And I'm gonna go down on the reasons why, but to keep it short and simple, actually it's a meat grinder for someone's mental health, and the morals that the United States has right now, I just don't think fit how I grew up or how anybody in my family would have wanted my children to be. So that's why I'm in a place like Kenya, not because just that I would enjoy my life, but for the future, the rest of my family would be able to enjoy their life as well, living and growing up here. Say what you want about it. Some people like to talk about the price or the whatever they want to talk about the president. Listen, that has nothing to do with me right now, unless it's something serious happened. You have a president. If you're watching this, you're probably in the United States, and if you're a newly immigrated, a new immigrant in the United States, shit, that president's about to ship you back to where you came from what I saw. So, I mean, maybe you should worry about where you're at before trying to make seeming like every other government has a huge issue just because it's not an American government. I'm not saying the one here is perfect. I'm just saying in general, because I know some Americans like to do that. Now, the first reason I would never, and this isn't too bad, so these aren't in order. One reason you would never want to raise a child in the United States as opposed to a place like Kenya or any other country in the world that's going to be a lot cheaper, a lot more affordable to raise a family, is because of what I just said, the high cost of living in the United States. So for example, if you want to have a baby here in Kenya, you could literally, and listen, I know people make $300 a month and they make it, listen, those people that live in Kenya for $300 a month, go look at where they live at and see if that's where you want to live. Now, back to what I'm saying, because people are going to start saying that, whoa, you can actually raise a child in Nairobi for $1 a month. You know, they're going to say some over the top exaggerated number like that. But if you were to raise a baby in Nairobi the same way that you would in Texas, on a monthly basis, you might only spend $250 to $350 a month, as opposed to the United States, where usually things are multiplied by 5. Okay, it may not cost $1,500 a month to raise a 2-year-old in Dallas, but other little things that you may do with your child are going to cost way more. In the United States, it is expected that you're going to spend $300,000 from birth to adulthood, which means from the time it comes out of the mother to the time it's 18 years old, $300,000 is what you're going to spend. Now, if you were doing that here in Nairobi, I would say divide it by 5. Or even further, so if you divide it by 5, it's about $60,000 that it would cost, which means you get to do a lot more with your child, which means you get to do a lot more with your life. And if you guys are interested in moving your family to Nairobi, Kenya, and you want to save more money like every other American that has brought their family to Nairobi is doing, so that way they can take more vacations, they can put their kid in a better school, they can buy them more clothes, without worrying about the cost of it, because when kids are growing, it seems like they need clothes every 3 months. If you want that stress off your back and you want somebody to help you find the right place to stay, have the first visit taken care of on autopilot for you, and make sure you have the right experience, you know, the right people, that way you can get your visas whenever you get here if you decide that you actually love Nairobi like I do. Click the link in the first pinned comment or the description. You'll speak with somebody from my team and we'll get you set up today, and you will get to speak to me after you speak with my assistant. Now, second, if we want to talk about education in the United States, and I brought this up before, the whole LGBT thing, you know, let me just say this too, and this has nothing to do with kids. The whole men and women are not different is the stupidest shit I think that they have came out with. Literally, one gender can give birth to a child and one can't. When I'm talking to women, I speak to them differently because I know that their emotions receive things differently. You know, their bone structures literally aren't even the same. But if you raise a kid in the United, and so I don't know how that belief got so far to the U.S. Congress having. I remember seeing on YouTube years ago, I think it was 2020, where they're in Congress when they should be talking about hunger or welfare or wars. Instead, they're discussing what a woman is. What a bunch of fucking idiots. I mean, really, that country is full of idiots. It really is. So while they're busy trying to figure out what a woman is, you could be raising your child over here where they're actually learning computers, science, math, and geography, stuff that actually matters, rather than you're looking at a woman. Put this sticky note in your shirt, Charlie, so that way if you feel like a girl today, you could be different. I don't think I would want to have to constantly argue, because then they're going to learn that at school. And since they're learning it from such a young age, they're going to come home and you have to basically argue with them. You're going to have to talk to them like, no, that's not right. No, that's not right. You know, you're going to have to do stupid stuff like that. The same reason why I said I would never raise a child in Latin America, because they got the white worshiping thing. I've met many black Brazilians and other Latinas from that part of the world that have always told me, like, yeah, like my classmates told me I was ugly because my skin was this color. I was ugly because I had an afro, or I needed to marry a white guy, or I mean, their parents would tell them that they needed to marry a white guy to be better. Listen, I don't have time. I have the option to pick where I want to live and spend the rest of my life. I don't have time to try to talk a child out of that bullshit. Now, if you don't mind it, I'm not doing it. I wasn't raised like that. Okay, I wasn't raised to believe that stupid, crazy shit. So I'm not doing that. So if you have the money, which you will when you come to Nairobi, because the cost of living usually gets divided by 5, you can put your kids in the best school, and you more than likely, you know, I don't go to the schools here, so I don't know, but I do know that most African countries aren't doing that. Do you want to be a starfish at school today bullshit? Okay. And I'm not even exaggerating when I say that. There's this girl that was in the United States. She's so brainwashed. She thinks she's what does she think she was? She thinks she was a wolf in the forest, and she's walking on all fours. And if you say something about it, you could damn near go to jail. I don't know. I don't want to be in that kind of stuff. So another reason that I would like to raise a child in Nairobi as opposed to where I'm from in the United States is because of the toxic social norms. Now, I've already talked about, you know, some things that we got going on in the States before, but I'm going to break down a list of things that I got right here. So, for example, growing up in the United States, you know that we are consumers. We are the biggest consumers in the world for illegal and legal goods, okay? That right there is enough. Like, we're the biggest consumers of drugs, illicit drugs around the world, meaning like ecstasy, meth, cocaine. Like we consume the majority of that, and it's been that way for a long time. The country's designed for it to be that way, so they don't give a damn about you, and they don't give a damn about your kids or anything else. They just want to make money off of that. Anyway, with legal things, we're always influenced to spend our money on things we don't need, and the price of those things are constantly going up, like the iPhone, because they know you're gonna buy them. The first iPhone was literally $300 around, what was that, like 15, 16 years ago. It was $300. Okay, now they're up to damn near $2,000, and you're gonna pay for it because what are you gonna do about it? Nothing. Now, here in Nairobi, people don't really need, yes, people like to look nice. Yes, people like to do nice things. But if you guys have been to both countries, you know what I'm talking about. United States is just exaggerated that you need to always keep up with the Joneses. That's a real thing there. And if you guys haven't been there, you don't know what I'm talking about. It's hyper competitive. You know, you're always going to feel like you're never doing enough. You're never doing enough there. And it's cool at first, but you know, when you're a kid, it generates so much envy and hate and jealousy in people's hearts that it's just, it really does make it toxic. And I know those emotions exist everywhere, but if you guys have been to the United States, you guys know how it actually is there. And the next thing is, And that's why I say that it's also like being a slave. Like you're influenced to work your ass to death, and then you need to spend that money on this brand new car, spend it on a new iPhone. As opposed to being here, things are a lot more simpler, and people are actually more focused on being around people and not what people have. The United States is such an immature society. Like the stuff that you guys seen the girl recently that was like, oh, I need my cash app for my nails before I even see you on the first date. And people think it's like just a meme. That's just a real thing there. They just got a real toxic culture there. I wouldn't even, I have a younger brother that's 15, and I don't know if he's like the last straw, but his generation after that is fucked. Like, I don't know what they're going to do as far as their social norm and like social life, consumerism, and just being in a rat race all the time. I don't know, but I know one thing, it won't be my kids. It won't be my problem. The third thing is work-life balance. Now, here in Nairobi, I've told you guys that Africans, generally speaking, don't have a sense of like, they're not rushing to do things like we are in the United States. If you had to be somewhere at 3 o'clock, then you need to be there at 3 o'clock in the United States. Here, they say 3 o'clock, it literally may be 7 p.m. With no warning, which not all the time, but it can get annoying. I haven't been to every African country, but I can tell you all 7 of them I went to, I had that exact same experience in all 7 with them being slow. And historically, they didn't have a sense of time is what I read somewhere. So maybe that's what it is. I don't know. That being said, people live here at a slower pace of life. People don't work. They work from the places I've been to now in Nairobi. They take things a little more serious with work as opposed to a place like Tanzania or even Ghana that I went to. But people actually live life in the moment and everything. You basically what I'm saying is you won't be a robot. When I was in the United States, it's literally seemed like all I could do was go to work, go to the gym, go back home. And that was my entire life, because every time I wanted to hang out with somebody, they were doing the same thing and they didn't have time to hang out. As opposed to here, you'll actually have a damn social life. So you'll actually be able to spend time with people, and your kids will actually have friends that they can play outside with. I go to Village Market Mall all the time, and I can hear kids on Fridays after they get out of school at the virtual reality at the top floor up there screaming and playing. When you go to the malls in the United States, there's no adults, there's no kids playing at the parks. In my apartments, there's kids that play at the park every single day. I just think your kids would have it would be better for them to be in a place like this. As obvious as it may seem, if you don't see it in the United States, go look outside and tell me how many kids you see playing at the park like it was when you were 19, back in 99, Well, that's when I was born. But anyway, whenever you were a kid, compare it to them. So it's a different work-life culture. Next, since you are living a better lifestyle because it's more affordable, more than likely you're going to stay in a safer part of town, because now that your rent is $775 for a 3-bedroom, not here, but on this side of town, because this is not a family side of town. There's kids that live in my apartments, but I wouldn't tell you to bring kids over here. Not that anything would be wrong. I just think that a place like Karen or Kitisuru would be more fit for that lifestyle. So if you're staying in a place like Karen or Kitisuru, you usually don't have anything to worry about. Barely even. I think if I lived in Karen, I don't even think I'd be worried about my phone being snatched. I'm not saying it won't happen, but it's not how it is in the United States, where you can't even I see kids do some stuff that worry me here, because I'm not used to it. It's a culture shock for me to see a kid go down to the park, and then he's literally like 3 years old. He's probably like 2 feet tall or something like that. Go to the park and then come back in the elevator, and I'm in the elevator with him by myself, and I don't know him. And I'm just thinking like, damn, like what if that was my child? But I forgot, I don't think they have a problem. You don't really have to, in other parts of the world, you don't have to worry about your kids coming up missing like you do in the United States. Another reason kids don't play in the United States, because a lot of parents are afraid, because kids are just getting snatched with trafficking and stuff like that. I'm not saying it doesn't happen here, but apparently I haven't heard about it happening from anybody I know that has kids here. And it seems like the parents are just fine with their kids being outside all day, and then they just know come back when the street light comes on. Like, that's what they told me when I was a kid. That's not a thing really anymore. You know, if I had a kid in the United States, I would literally be sitting outside in the front line watching the entire time. Because you just, it's bullshit. You know, there's some sick people in the States, and Nairobi's not necessarily a dangerous city either. Besides maybe getting your phone snatched, you don't really have to worry about somebody robbing you at gunpoint, because people don't really have guns here. They do, but you probably won't know anybody that has a gun. I do, but I know 2 people that have a gun. Outside of that, I don't know anybody else that's told me that they have a gun. So you don't have to worry about that. You don't really have to worry about like gang activity and stuff like that in this city. So that's why because gang activity is not safe for kids as well, because, you know, crossfire and getting hit by random bullets. But anyway, that's not really an issue here. And if you are dividing your cost of living by 5, then you're going to stay in a better neighborhood anyway. Like if you move to a very nice neighborhood in the United States, it'd probably be less, your kid would probably still get snatched. But it would be less likely that you would have a violent environment, and you would be in that same scenario here, but it would be even better just because the entire city seems to be not that much of a violent city. Now, I know there's violence that does happen in Nairobi. Maybe if you go way off in this neighborhood that you can't even end up in on accident, then sure. Because I know somebody's going to come and say, well, this happened over here. That's in an area that you couldn't accidentally go to. You would have to be trying to go there for that to happen. Now, one thing that Kenya has, and I'm not saying Black Americans don't have culture, because our culture gets imitated around the world. I see people imitate it here. But they usually don't imitate the good part, right? They don't imitate the good things we do. And one thing that I like about being in Nairobi is that it's a major city. It's modern enough from what I've seen for an African city, but it still has its culture to it. And your kids can grow up with a different cultural identity that you can learn from as well from being here. So if you value that and you feel like the United States, especially if you're Black American, you feel like the culture is going in the wrong place, then you may want to consider relocating here. Now, like I said before, to touch more on property, a lot of people want to know about the property in Kenya. If you go to Mombasa, it's cheaper. If you go to Nakuru, it's cheaper. But guess what? There's a reason that people don't live in those cities as much as they do in Nairobi. There's a reason most people live in Nairobi. And the same reason people say like, oh, I can go live in Sherman, Texas, which is way out from Dallas. Like that's damn near in Oklahoma. It's way far away. They can go live in Sherman, Texas for maybe half the price that it costs in Dallas, or 25% less. Yeah, and look at where you're going to be at. And there's a reason why it's cheap over there, because ain't shit over there. But if you're in Dallas, there's a reason why it costs more. But it's up to you. I mean, do whatever you want. Now, if you are looking for let's say you're a family of 3, 4, you have 2 kids. Let's go with, 2 kids and a husband and wife, I guess, right? Or maybe you're going to find your wife here. I'm not sure. So you would be getting a 3-bedroom. I'm in Kilauea right now. My place is actually about $750 because of the currency, but let's say $750 to $775. This place for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, and there's a servant's room, and there's a somewhat of a shower and something. I wouldn't be using it. It's just a hole in the ground with a place to squat. And there's a balcony in the master bedroom and in the front room. Now, that is in Kilauea, which is more of a prime location. Westlands is considered, like the location that's going to be, it's the tourist destination. So it's going to be more expensive there. But here, it's a little 10-minute, 15-minute distance from there. But I would still say it's prime location, because it's not like being way out in the neighborhood like Karen, which is expensive. But if you live in Karen, you won't leave Karen, more than likely. Like Karen has enough stuff in its own area, and if you come here, it's just for a specific thing. If you live in a place like Kitisuru, it's more expensive. If you live in a place like Westlands is expensive. Kilimani is going to be more expensive than. Don't believe people that say you can stay in Nairobi for $100 a month and get a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom. You won't be in Nairobi. I don't know where the hell you'll be at. You'll be in some city far out, probably with no running water for that price. I don't see that happening with a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom. If I was a family of 3, I would actually allow for an American watching this. From an American moving from America, you have certain standards that you're used to in America that you would not change. You would either want to upgrade them or you would want them to stay the same. So for me, my apartment wasn't this nice in Dallas. So this is an upgrade for me, okay? So I'm not gonna go down to whatever area and get a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom for $200 a month somewhere in Nairobi. It's just not happening. I would love for somebody to show me a place that's an upgrade or staying the same from what I was used to in Dallas that is that cheap here in Nairobi. So if I were you, I would have a budget of at least $1,000. I'm not saying it's gonna cost that much, but to actually have some reality on what to look for, some realness on what you're looking for, that's the price tag that you would need. I have some clients that are being super cheap that want a furnished 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom for, what did this guy say? I think he said $700 a month. This place is in a nice part of town like Kilauea or Kilimani. This place is unfurnished, 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, and it's $750 to $775 depending on what day of the week the currency is at. You're not getting that furnished for that price. If they furnish an apartment, it's gonna be double of what it costs unfurnished, obviously because you're paying a convenience fee. So guys, just because these prices are cheap, when you guys are hearing me talk about these prices, I'm talking about unfurnished prices. Don't come down here thinking you can move into an apartment, get a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom in Kilimani for $500 a month that comes with all the furniture like you see behind me, with a refrigerator, an air fryer. You're not getting nothing. Dude, it'll be an echo in the house when you get there for $500 a month. You can find it. It's going to cost you way more because you're going to have to spend more to get there just so you can actually live there. Okay, I've spent over $5,000 in furnishing this apartment. So it's cheap to be here, but it's not a miracle cheap. You're still going to pay something. So if you're a family of 4, I would budget for the entire family $2,500 to $3,000 a month survival. You can argue with me, but you can break it down. How are you going to live your life? If you want me to help you break it down with you, we can get on the call. You can click the link in the first pinned comment in the description. We can set up a plan on what it would actually take for you to be here, what you would need, what your budget needs to be, where would you want to stay, what gym are you going to go to, what golf club are you going to join, what school is your kids going to go to. These are important things you got to think about if you want to get out of a country like the United States where they're being taught that they can be a boy or a girl whenever they want. It's your family, not mine, but I'm here to help you. So, again, it's way easier to build your legacy if you live in Nairobi because your kids will have a better education because it's more affordable. Coming from America with the dollar, it's going to be more affordable to put them in a better private school if you want that. That's if you want that. You can stay in a better home. You can have your survival needs times 5 now, 5 times easier than they were before. And you can invest more in Nairobi now that you have excess money sitting around. So if you were making 10 grand a month and you were living in Dallas and it cost you $4,000 as a single person or $3,000 to spend, and you had $6,000 left over, which is great. You can't really invest too much in the United States with $6,000, unless you're talking like stocks or crypto, but I'm referring to physical stuff that you could touch. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm not talking about gold either. If you have $6,000 in excess in the United States, you're not buying an apartment because the apartments are so damn expensive. Okay, you're not buying really much of anything when it comes to that. But if you have 30, 40, or 50 grand, you can save that money a lot faster, maybe 2 or 3 months from being out here, because you can cut your cost of living from 4,000 to 1,100. So it depends if you have that interest. Do you want to invest in Nairobi, and do you want to actually build a legacy and be able to pass your property down to your kids? Now, I know people say that Nairobi or Kenya has a 99-year lease property, but I think there's a way that you can get around it if you can just sell it to your kids. Of course, you're not going to have another 99 years to live, but there's a way around everything. The Indians are doing it. The white people are doing it down here. The Chinese are for sure doing it. I don't think they're worried about that. So don't let that deter you from wanting to invest in Nairobi. I had a client that came here and he heard that and he changed his whole mind about investing. But I'm like, yeah, like, I don't think these Chinese folks are changing their mind. They're building all this shit here. They almost own, the Indians and these Chinese people own a lot of this stuff down here. I don't think they're worried about this 99-year lease thing. So let me know what you guys thought about the video. If you guys have a family that you would like to move to Nairobi, like many of my calls, my consultations that I do on a daily basis are men or women that want to move their family to Nairobi. I actually have one coming in about 3 weeks, and hopefully we can get him on camera and he can tell his experience about what's going on down here. But if you want a better life for your family, not just for yourself, I would recommend Nairobi, Kenya. I hope to see you guys here. I'll be able to show you guys around and help you guys get exactly what you need. I'll see you guys next time. Make sure you click the link in the first pinned comment or the description. I'm out.